Boom. It's not on yet. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And yesterday I bought a phone. I haven't had a phone for 5.5, 6 weeks, which is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. Absolutely.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, and even the phone I got's just a real cheap one. I think I'll just keep it that way.
Yeah, well, we can all do with being liberated
I'm
in
telling you,
that
it
sense.
was so cool. I mean, I didn't use it like as much as most people, really. Because, like if I go to the beach, I don't look at my phone. I just tag you. But but I did notice how, like you fasted before, right? Have you
Oh,
ever
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you fast, like when you first fast and you'll have like these urges to go eat. That's what
Yeah.
so it'd be like that. I'd be like looking for my phone. I'm like, no, I don't need it. So now I'm like totally unglued from it. Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
Okay. So we got
wow,
a few
that's
people.
that's
We got a few people in
that's
here.
beautiful. Just yeah,
Yeah.
I very rarely I don't do any social media
Uh-huh.
particularly,
Oh yeah?
you know, and that's been I mean, I have my times where I do. I'm not completely immune to it, but I've noticed since I've, withdrawn from it that sometimes I just look at my phone wondering, if it's going to entertain me. And
Yeah.
because I'm not plugged into any of those channels, sometimes, and I can, I see it as, it's an addiction, isn't it? Really, having
You
to,
know,
have instant
I
access to stuff.
yeah, I've had a lot of thoughts on that word. I think it's overused. I think it reeks of victim consciousness. It's a real thing. Don't get me wrong. Like in the context you're using it, absolutely. But my point is there are so many things that are an addiction. So many things, if we're going to use that term, and really, it's just distraction. I would just classify it as distraction. And so I don't know. But because I mean, I'm me, and I like to take a shot of whiskey, not get drunk and disorderly. I like to have a beer, I'll smoke a cigarette, smoke a joint. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. It's not like a priority. But I've noticed other things, and even those things are falling away. Like they're just falling away naturally. Like I went through a big purge during that sequence of 15 seizures, and my body's still communicating to me. It's still regulating me. Obviously, I'm not doing anything. I pretty much just subsisted off of white rice, chicken soup, and oatmeal, bananas, and some bread and crackers for the last 2 weeks. But I can tell that something's been readjusted. I can tell that, that something is changed in my body. It's still changing. I just took a dose of ivermectin. I went down to the little pharmacy over here for $5, $5 American. I got a package of ivermectin because part of what happened was my internal digestive system went through a total rebuild. Like it was part
Yeah.
of it, and I'm getting the information from my body and from my soul. But I think this is happening to a lot of people. I think there's a lot of things that are falling away, including the things that going back to that word, the addiction word, judgment. I found that through my own self-analysis and self-introspection and communion with the universal that it's the judgment that's deadly. It's the thoughts that we have when we do things. Hopefully, we're thinking about it because if we're unconscious, to your point, like the phone thing. But what I really noticed about the phone thing is I was walking around town, and you're always looking for your phone, right? Like, do I have my phone? Do I have my phone? Where's my phone? And so now that I walk around, and even when I have a phone now, these last 2 days, I don't carry my phone with me. I just leave it at home. Like I don't know. I've learned something. And it's not just the phone. it's everything. It's what I'm eating, what I'm doing. But I really feel like that we've leaped into a whole other place, a whole other place. And I've had some personal intel come in, that's been revolving around the number 14, which for me, when I reawoke, they told me that was an ending, that it marks an ending. It marks that, you're going into a new phase. And so on June the 1st of last year, 14 years to the day, I had the exact same thing happen to me that happened 14 years earlier when I had my awakening experience. And then a few days ago, 14 years to the day, the word Soulogy was given to me by Archangel Michael's consciousness. Something else happened. And I just see the number 14 popped up. There's 14 people in the house. And then yesterday, the 14th, which is my daughter's birthday, was the day I opened up the Soulogy group on Facebook based on the guidance that I'd received. So, I mean, these are, and then there's a lot of other things. The stars have been speaking to me big time, particular ones, and educating me, which it was real big last night. Animal encounters, and then having these incredible shows with so many sisters and some of these brothers that are stepping up, like Jed, Gareth, Bliss Diggins, Tom, I can't remember his name. I always mess it up. He's from Netherlands. He's coming on this week. And, talking to you and the other ladies, I mean, it's been absolutely expansive for me. And I'm really excited about it. I've not been this excited about, and I've always been excited about Soulogy, don't get me wrong, but I've not been this excited about Soulogy since 14 years ago. So something's in the water. I don't know what's going on. How are you doing? You look fantastic.
Oh gosh, thank you. I'm doing well. I have probably been through the most intense few months of my the last couple of months have just been huge for me. I think the last time I spoke to you, I was in a place of feeling like the gold was exploding, everything was just hunky-dory, and I was really settled in that place. It's easy to get settled in that place, and then I reached too far outside of myself to complete myself. I won't go into details. It's personal stuff, but I was hit by everything that I needed to see in order to reach me. I set myself on a trajectory that sent me crashing right back to me. Which is that stretching yourself when you're not actually there. And I've done years and years of looking at the shadow, looking at the pain. I had 18, nearly 19 years of really, really intense, work with, the energies of separation, like a lot of us have been doing. And I thought there was a moment of complacency, and I've been humbled, big time, and had no idea how much pain there was still, that was still unearthing within us. And it's been a really different journey this time. I think my capacity to actually feel pain, the emotional pain of the heartbreak of humanity, has been kind of drip fed. I think it's been drip fed to all of us, but for years, especially those of us that have been on this path. But we've reached a point where there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing about us. No lies that we've told ourselves. No hidden trauma that isn't going to be revealed now. And, I was shocked, and, utterly heartbroken that there was still so much pain left. But what was happening as I was going through that experience was miraculous. The whole, it's been the hardest couple of months, but it's also been the most miraculous, couple of months, because we always find ourselves at the end of that pain. We're always on the other side of that bridge. If we've got our arms open enough and our heart, can remain open enough, then, we reach ourselves, and there's the gold, and there's the love, internalized. But yeah, I reached out too far, and it's been a double-edged. It's been like a knife edge. The balancing act that I've been doing at the moment has been like a knife edge, that any wobble, anything that has triggered me while I've been balancing on that knife edge has cut me right in half. It's been the absolute, all of it. It's like not just feeling one part of the pain, of the heartbreak, and I'm using heartbreak in a real general term here. All of it, the whole separation journey. It's like, in order to reach the next level of experience of love, the whole wound has had to be opened up simultaneously and felt as one in order to reach that point. So it's been an interesting time, but we're just, we've got to gather all of ourselves up, every single part of us that has been left behind in, a traumatic experience, because we get, we don't know where we're stuck on our trauma loops until we find them. So I'm glad I reached that far outside of myself. Now I'm glad I ripped the Band-Aid off to that extent. But, that's where we're at. It's, all the Band-Aids are coming off, and it's a challenging time. But a good time. The worst of times and the best of times.
Isn't that a famous quote from a famous book?
It is, yeah.
All I can say is I'm very humbled and privileged and honored to bear witness to this. I've been saying since this episode I had on the 3rd and the 4th, the blood moon, that I continue to meet people, and I feel like my soul is speaking to me through them. So like the mirroring and the unity and the oneness and the recognition and remembrance seems to be coming into play. And I know I'm not the only one. I listen to you, and I've been saying that since last summer, people are coming on the show and their humanity is showing up. Their humility is showing up. And I'm often reminded of these words that I wrote last year in a beautiful song that said, when you realize that humiliation and humility are one and the same thing. I mean, when you talk about getting ripped open, you're, being put on the spot in front of a crowd or in front of people or another person and being embarrassed or ashamed or all that stuff has got nothing on this. It has nothing on what you're talking about, what I call the brutal honesty of the soul, where it's you and the universe and there's no bullshit. And you come face to face with the truth of yourself, and you're run out of options, and you're essentially left with compassion and love and understanding. And something happens inside of you that makes it equilateral. It makes it to whatever you're looking at. You're extrapolating what you've come to within yourself to all those things around you. It's mind-blowing. So to be able to, I put up a post last week and I said, look, I want to talk to people, and I don't remember what the list was, but it was like, I want to talk about the real stuff. I almost wanted to put the post out and say, this is not a marketing platform. Don't come here if you want to push something. I'm not interested in agendas. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not sanctimonious. I'm not high-minded. It's not about that. I just know where the gold is now, and the gold is in the type of testimony that you just gave. You don't have to give the details. I didn't give the details when I just described my situation about these 14 years. I don't have to give the details because, like you said, if your arms are open and your mind is open and most of all, your heart is open, that's really what it is. You can be absolutely in the pisser. You can be dead on your knees. You can be curled up in a fetal position crying. But if you have an open heart, the universe matches it. And the magic starts to happen. And it's a weird sensation. It's a weird feeling because there's not this prolonged grief and sadness and anger and stuff. But make no mistake, you're proof, I'm proof. And we're talking about very recent transformational experiences that are humbling, beyond humbling. That integrity comes in. This love for self, I think, is the bottom line. It's I was going through this last night. I was at the beach and I just sat there and I said, I fucking love myself. I love myself. I love me. I love me. And it wasn't like hokey. And I look up and I see the stars that have been talking to me and they're there. And they're like saying, we're your grandfathers. We're your grandmothers. We're also your history. We're you. It just was this whole incredible, non-forced, organic, natural unfoldment of intelligence. And I don't even know how to describe it, but you did. You did. And it's like somebody wrote me a letter a while ago and they were like telling me about some things they experienced. And it was kind of wordy, and they said, it's kind of wordy, but I hope you get the energy behind it. I said, that's exactly what I got. Now, if you ask me what she wrote to me, I can't tell you that many details, but I can tell you I felt her heart. I felt her heart. It's just a very strange scenario because we're not used to this. It's been a long, long time. The last thing I want to say is, and this is where this humanity and the multidimensionality show up together at the same time, like I've been referring to since last summer with the people like you that come on. But when I was in the middle of it last night, I heard very distinctly, man, we have been through something. We have been through the ringer. We have been through pain, suffering, fuckery, deception. And it's a fact. Like, we all have PTSD. Every one of us. I'm sitting across from a very high frequency tapped in sister, you, right? And yet you just went through 2 months of boot camp. We're on the other side of this thing now. I'm convinced now.
I am.
And I don't mean that to be. What I'm saying is the evidence to me isn't. Look at me, look what I can do. I'm going to go walk on water now. I can fly. No. The evidence to me is what your testimony represents, where you can come to the table and say, you know what? I am 100%, 100% present with my human being, past, present, future, parallel lives. And I'm a multidimensional being, and I'm here. And now we're on the other side. And I believe this is going to move pretty fast for those like you and I and the people that are listening. Thank you.
The moment I tuned into the energy of 2026, I could see how fast it was going to go, and I couldn't quite believe that anything could happen at the speed that I was seeing it. But this is we're kind of past hold on to your hats time. We're well into a really extraordinary point of the journey, and yeah, it's been hell. The journey, being as tuned in, as sensitive as I've been for the last many years, 18, 19 years. But it's finite, isn't it? The shadow is finite, and we're not. We're infinite. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the experiences that, send me, kicking and screaming back to myself, because it's the only way through all of this. There's nothing about us that we can ignore anymore. Just nothing. There's no, there's nowhere left to hide, Todd, really, is there? If you're in hiding. I mean, for me, sitting here talking to you, this has been something that I've been heading towards for years. It's been in my awareness that, I'm been on this journey because I'm being called to take the journey, but not just to take the journey, but to communicate about it and share that with other people. And that's been such a huge fear, for me to do. And to just sit here, for me, is, incredible healing, because I'm here doing it, facing myself. And those edges, they just don't go away until you're right up against them with the awareness that it's just all us.
Yeah, I agree with
We're
you.
there where we can meet ourselves in the most profound way, in amongst the most painful situations. And really, that's what's going on. We're dealing with, as individuals, we're dealing with the heartbreak of the whole, the heartbreak of humanity. So it's all out there, it's all happening. This is the the full. It's all happening at once. I keep referring, when I work with Jed, because we've done a lot of connecting in the last few years. Thank goodness for him. We've been talking about, it's like flashing the BIOS. Have you heard of that computer term? Have you heard of it? Okay. Oh, I did actually have it written down. The description of
It's
it
called
written down.
flashing the veils.
Yeah, flashing the BIOS. It means updating the motherboard's firmware, and it's essentially updating the software that tells your computer how to start up. But it's like all the information needs to be kind of like gone through at once. It's like a flashpoint, this. Like I was saying, that when I've been feeling the pain recently, it's been all of it. It's not it's not drip feeding anymore. It's like the full feeling the full separation all at once. And I think feeling it all at once like that is what allows us to actually fully land in a new place. My experience of the extraordinary amount of pain that I've felt through recent experiences took me to a place where I thought, well, that's got to be it. Is there more than that? I mean, maybe there is more than that, and I'll be ready, if there is more. But I think with an open heart, when we meet it with an open heart, it's enough to take us to the next point that we need to be at. But it's like a full kind of like reset and upgrade that we're requiring now, to move forward, to really move forward. I'm amazed at how fast I've been called to grow in the last, I'll say 6 months, not just 2 months, 6 months. We're really, we're calling in these new versions of ourselves, to operate. We want to operate in unity and completion, and that's something really huge has to be completed. Something really huge has to be undertaken, and it's a leave no stone unturned situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, well, I mean, where do you start? Like you said so much, but the bottom line of what you said, like, the days of fancy rhetoric and new ageisms and fluffy love and light isms and I got this shit figured out, and they're over. And
Yeah.
because the internalization is the only way. And that means that everything outside of you can no longer be a crutch. Now, the crutch can be in the name of love, it can be in the name of hate, it can be in the name of blame, it can be in the name of putting someone on a pedestal. We've created this, and we're not being allowed to externalize anything. This is what you're talking about. For me, it's been 9 months, and that started on June the 1st, 14 years after everything started for me, I mean, Jesus came in the trees, and my whole reawakening started, and how does it happen 14 years to the day, to the hour, right? So there's some big stuff happening. There's no doubt about it. But the central part of it is our own personal revelations within ourselves. Now, because of the work I do, I've always kept a lot of tabs on the different platforms and YouTube, X, Facebook, and such. I pay attention to what they're talking about. I see nothing there now more than ever that is holding any water for me. And I'm not saying that I'm not throwing shade on anybody. What I'm talking about is I'm hearing and seeing a lot of conversations that are externalizing things. Look what they're doing to us. Did you know about this? Let me tell you about this conspiracy theory. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you. These are all part of the physical narrative. I don't care if they're physical ETs and spaceships running around the skies. I don't care. None of that holds any water with me anymore. And I'm seeing other people like this too. And the way I can recognize it is because they're not talking. They're not talking very much. And when they do, they come out like you. And I've been blessed to have these people coming on the show. And like I said, they're walking in the door hand in hand, their humanity and their multidimensionality. They're not bypassing the human, and they're not bypassing the multidimensionality. This is happening very rapidly. There's a lot of egoic death. There's a lot of identity that's being slaughtered. This is humble pie in the highest and newest sense, and it happens between ourselves and the universe. And there's really nothing else you can say about it. I mean, I'm having the most intense communions that I've ever had. Last night I sat in this chair for at least 4 hours with a cup of tea and just sat here. And I wasn't even trying to meditate, but everything was coming through, and including the human echoes. Oh, well, you're going to leave Mexico. What are you going to do? Well, I don't know. Well, good. You don't know. You don't know. What are you going to do tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, well, that's good. That's where you need to be. That's what I'm hearing. Like, just be right here, right now. And this is what alchemizes the next step. This is what happens. And that's another thing. This work that you're talking about, this internal alignment, this internal correction, this internal transformation that's happening comes with gifts. That's what I'm experiencing. It comes with gifts. Little things, big things. I'm at the beach last night. I'm seeing things and going, am I seeing these things? Am I seeing this fairy fly across in front of me again? The white bird came back that's been visiting me, which I hadn't seen in a few days. All this stuff is happening that's very organic and natural, and yet you have all these patterns and distorted rhythms that we're starting to recognize them for what they are. It's the same playbook over and over and over and over. We're talking about gaslighting. We're talking about presenting distorted truths. We're talking about control. We're talking about fear-based programming. We're talking about narcissistic realm repercussions that have run right into our DNA that we're correcting. My body's telling me, you're changing.
Yeah.
You don't have to prove it. I've gone through a lot. Mine's mostly been physical. Mostly been physical. And of course, you know, what happened 12 days ago was the pinnacle of it. What's happened since then has required for me to tap into my body the way that I used to tap into the ethers. What do you need to do? Do you need to go to the emergency room? Do you need to go to the doctor? Do you need to go to the hospital? No. No. You need to go down to the store, get some electrolytes, and get some soup, and make some soup. Make some or homemade soup and just sip on it. And, like, I'm being told. Like, what better intel to get? What more assured can I be than if it comes from myself? And I feel like this is what's happening. We're self-sourcing. We're self-sourcing. So that means everybody's pulling from the same field of information. Okay? Well, where we were pulling from a field of information that was put out here that we were convinced, you know, was real, and it wasn't. The last thing I'll say is watching these different platforms, watching the different rhythms and nuances and the dynamics of that you see on X with the different topics or YouTube or Facebook, I can see it, like our friend Maya said the other day. It's like you've got a pot full of water with a lid on it, and it's boiling, and the pot's about to blow off. I can see a lot of that out there. But keep in mind that as I observe all that stuff, I've got a mantra in my head which is basically saying it's not about them, it's about you. What am I getting from this? What am I getting from this? Like, well, how does this make me feel? You know, I mean, I see a lot of people that are starting to, and I'm not saying this to externalize or offset it away from myself, because I'm going through it too. You know, it's time for that big universal makeup mirror to be put in our face, and we take a good look at who we are, and that's a positive thing. But in order to see who we are, we have to see who we're not, and this has been, you know, a result of the self-judgment. It's not about other people. Why don't I like that person? Why don't I like that guy over there when he does that? I had to do this yesterday with a guy that I saw something he was doing, and I could make a case for it. I could make a case for this guy building a silo and having followers and feeding them a bunch of bullshit. However, it's not about him. It's about me. So until I could bring that guy up in front of me and see him for the pure soul that he is, and his joy and his bliss, and it happened, I wasn't free, you know. I mean, this is the kind of work that we're doing. It doesn't involve anybody else, and it doesn't involve me convincing anybody else. And it's a whole different game here, you know. It's like, you know, we don't even talk the same. We don't communicate the same way. I can feel the people that I'm collaborating with, including you today, before the show even starts, and I'm not even trying. Right?
When the heart bridges are open between you and another person, it's just so beautiful, isn't it? When there's a free flow of love flowing, you know, that's what I'm trying to create with awareness in every relationship and connection that I have, you know, in this world, is that free flowing bridge of love. You know, anywhere that we haven't forgiven another person or forgiven ourselves in a situation, you know, just leaves that there's a blockage in the energy between you and that person, that event, that place. And you know, forgiveness is the most powerful portal there is. You know, we talk about, you know, opening portals to here, there, and everywhere. You know, forgiveness opens a portal back to you every single time. You know, that's just how it works. You know, we let that person off the hook, we let ourselves off the hook, and boom, we're in another place. we're feeling love again. And it's all, this whole journey is all about love. It's all about love. And it's, what we're dismantling through awareness is the weaponization of love. And we've all done it. We've all weaponized love against each other. And this is us calling that back, seeing it, owning it, loving it, and finding our neutrality. The peace within. After the situation that I described earlier, the pain, reaching that level of pain threshold, did land me in a new place, completely new place within myself. And I was worried at first that I felt numb, because for the first time in almost 20 years, I couldn't feel the heartbreak of humanity in an acute way. I just wasn't feeling it. And I thought, is there something wrong in that? Is this numbness? Is this another layer of anesthetic? But it wasn't numbness. That's just what neutrality feels like. And it means that, there's things that, I would have reacted to, but there's just no trigger. There's nothing kind of like holding me there. And I'm not hiding. I'm not, building this up, to be something, that's going to last forever. If it doesn't, if there's more trigger points, then I'll just do the same, because there's only one trajectory really, and that's back to ourselves and back to love.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's what happens is we've tried everything else. What's the only thing that we haven't tried? Ourselves. And that's what everything's been designed to keep us from. So we know this now. This is the great thing about this new intelligence, or this old intelligence that's resurfacing and that's coming out of us, is that once you come into awareness of something, you're pretty much transformed at that point. Now, the only hiccup there to me, we were talking about this on the last show, there's a difference between programs and patterns. There was a time, and this is just my take, there was a time, a long time, where part of the process and the modalities was to go back to when the trauma occurred. When did this happen to you? Where did it start? When did you start acting like this? When did you put this mask on? When did you put this shield up? When did you close your heart? But I've seen many, many people, including myself, identify that and not correct the pattern. The pattern itself, the second nature. It's like riding a bike. We get so used to it. Somebody says A, we go, ooh, we don't even think about it. This is the kind of breakthrough that we're having. And I think there's a simplification that's occurring as well, because it's, like you said, it's one trajectory. It's one solution. What is that? Open your heart. I say this all the time. I did it last night, I challenged them, You're going to walk in here with 20-foot reptilians, and you're going to stand in front of me, and because of my human psyche, am I going to get scared? Probably. But I'm also going to say, you know what? I love you. Not fuck you. I love you. I am soul. Period. You can't kill me. You're not going to convince me of that, because I know what I know, what I know. And there's so many other people coming online here that it's you can't even take a head count, because it's such a contagious type of energy. And it's not like, let me give you a lecture, read my book, watch my podcast, or whatever the case is. It's simply the energy itself speaking as it does in dimensions that we've had experience in our meditations, in out of bodies and so on. This thing is coming off the rails, and it looks like, as I look at some of the stuff that's being presented, let's say in the movie script out there, that stuff is just like, it's not making any sense. It's turning into a ridiculous 3-ring circus. So that means that more and more and more people are going to do what they did after the whole COVID episode. And, I'm talking about people outside of our circles. I'm talking about people like my parents who are in their late 80s who finally said, you know what? This ain't right. Something's wrong. That's starting to come out now where people are saying, well, we want some justice. Well, you see that a lot. People want to see people hung. People want to see some retribution. But we're walking a different path here. It's an all or nothing proposition. The mother does not hate, dislike, not love, hold any of her children, I'm speaking metaphorically and literally, in any lesser light than any of the others. A big part of this proposition that we've gotten ourselves into is not just the common denominator that we're all a soul, but it's the common denominator that we've all been through the same thing. And if we understand that we've all been through the same thing, then there is no blame to offer anybody, because everybody was subjected to the same thing. Everybody gave away their power. Everybody took on other roles. Everybody over-identified with their personas egoically and so on. And that's okay. That was the mission. The mission was to go through this, the experiment, the experience, whatever you want to call it, because I do think there's an element of experimentation into what we've created here on Earth. Somehow or another. Now, was there interference? Did somebody come in and hijack the situation? Absolutely, from a narrative standpoint, but something, the you, me, we, and it, the mother, the father, whatever, I don't know, at a higher level, knew exactly what they were doing, knew exactly what we could do. And I would say, knew that we would be good to go, but I think we've actually surpassed expectations and raised the bar like it's never been done before, and it's just starting to land now. Right now, it's just starting to land, and it's moving quickly. You're right; it's moving real quick. And there's a lot of questions that you can have, and I can have in my head, but I think for me, like going through last night, hours and hours of communion, it just kept coming back to the same thing. And I'll use your words. There's only one trajectory. There's only one timeline. There's only one thing. It's love. And like somebody was saying the other day, there's no such thing as unconditional love. It's just love. Because if you create unconditioned, then there's conditions. And that's what we're doing here. We're taking two polarities in a duality, which accentuates everything and totally distorts it, and we're bringing them back to center. This work that we've done is epic. And we're not even, and see, that's another thing. We're just starting to figure that out. We talk about our self-love quotient going up. It's going to go through the roof. Our self-respect, our self-honor, our integrity, our admiration, Wow. Look what we've done.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to talk about the middleman. We're giving up the middleman, aren't we? I mean, that's what the ridiculousness of, what information that we can find in the world today is revealing, is that, there's a whole load of drama that we can't trust anymore, because it's outsourcing. It's looking for something that we're searching for, because we're all searching for love. That's that's what this has all been about, and it's everything's just pointing us back to ourselves. The whole kind of like pictures crumbling. People don't know what to believe. Well, that's great, isn't it? Isn't it great that it's turning into such an extraordinary farce that, it forces us to turn around and face ourselves and self-source? Mm-hmm. One of the greatest, there are amazing gifts that, every time we go through, reclaiming ourselves and, finding our balance again, there's the gifts, within us. It's us, we find ourselves and we find the gift. And I've had the extreme privilege of beginning to, work as an artist again, which is what I was doing before this journey started for me. And, so I'm reclaiming that part of myself. I had to actually go through a really, painful, to fall apart, because I identified so much with it. And, that was a huge part of my process. But, the treasure, for me is being a creator, and finding so much joy in that space. That's the prize for me.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like we think of creativity as, we kind of associate that with artistic expression, but for me, the creativity is our vehicle. It's because really, to be creative, to be at your optimum, it's a spontaneous thing. It's intuitive, it's imagination, it's presence, but it's not. You know what I mean? The truest moments are natural and spontaneous, and so that's kind of like, what I was talking about with what was going with some of the stuff that was happening with me last night. It wasn't like old loops, like what are you going to do, how are you going to pay for it. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. It was just more like, so what are you going to do? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. When I get to that step, then I'll know. And I heard like, yes, this is what you do, which gives my old human fits. It doesn't anymore, but it would. We because we want to know. We want to know what's going on. We want to be able to explain it. We want to be able to know, why do we want to know? Why is that we want to know? I found this street preacher video that I did 14 years ago on the 14th anniversary. So I put it up on my page, and in that, and I was only like a couple of years off the streets then, and I was talking about how do you find your faith, how do you find your soul, and how do you test your faith? And you take everything away, every single thing, everything and anything, every belief, everything, until what do you have left? That's all you have. That's it. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's it. Like when I was at the beach last night, and I literally was, have my hand on a tree. There's one bird there that came to see me, that white bird, and then this other bird flies right in front of me at the right time, when the right thoughts were there, confirming what I was getting, and then flies in the tree above my head and starts talking. And other things. And how do you discount this anymore? And they were explaining to me, this is the real language. Even the stars, when I looked at them, I thought, how can y'all still be here? It's been weeks. How can this still be happening? And they, and I thought, I tried like, tell me something. And no, just be here. And when I went out there, my stomach was not well. It was not well. And I began to get a little concerned. So I took my shoes off, put my feet in the sand, and then I appealed to the universal for healing. I believe we're supposed to do this. I believe we're supposed to work together and support in equilibrium, not in victim consciousness, not in disempowerment. I was equally appealing to the universal and to myself at the same time. And so what happens? The stars say, you don't have to do anything, just merge with us. So I looked at Sirius, and I felt Sirius's energy, distinct and in and of itself. and then I went to the Orion's Belt, and then I went to Aldebaran, Pleiades, Jupiter, and then the animals, and then the tree, and everything else. And everything was, and you know that within 20, 25 minutes, and I felt sick. I mean, I felt like either I'm going to throw up or something, like something's wrong. And within 20, 25 minutes, I could have run a marathon. Like I was, wow. Like, so it's a whole different experience now, but only in the respect that we're not used to it because we've been inundated with these experiences in this distorted dualistic polarity. This is familiar, it's remembrance, it's innate, and it's instinctive. And it doesn't operate anything like what we're coming from at all. At all. You know what I mean? Like you and I could sit at a table across from each other in chairs and just sit there and say nothing. And like what you talked about, that heart coherence, that mutual equilibrium, everything will come from that. And this isn't new age fluffy, it's not. This is real. And you know what? The reason I know it's real is because of what you said in the beginning and what I went through and what I'm watching people do. You can't get there unless you go through the fire. And that's it. Yeah. There's no other way. Yeah.
But it's it's so real. It's so real. It's getting us to the real treasure as well. The reality of, facing all of this. I had an experience last night with the sun, Todd, that I've never had before. And it was so simple. I didn't do anything particularly different. I went and I had a swim in the ocean. Oh, I did do something different. I took time to sit in the sun, and I didn't take a huge amount of time, but it was the most powerful experience of the sun that I've had, I think, in my life. Like I could feel it. I could feel it like a godly experience. It could reach me. The sun could. It was a moment where I sat there and I felt like, oh my God, the sun can finally reach me. And it didn't just touch my skin. It touched my whole soul. And it's moments like that, that's what's coming. More and more of that, more connection, just more love.
Yeah, imagine, have you ever had a out-of-body experience or a near-death experience? Or
well, I used not your typical near-death experience.
Well, I mean, okay, let me rephrase it. Have you ever had an experience, however you got there, where what I would call like a dimensional experience in consciousness, in human consciousness, awake state, where all you feel is just this love and peace? Like when people have out of bodies or near deaths, they'll say, like I did, they'll say, well, I don't want to go back. This is like, it's beyond euphoric. It's like I can't even explain it, to me. It's like a field of plasma or something. It's just, I can't really put my finger on it. What I'm getting at is, this is what we're putting into place. Imagine having that frequency, having that band of frequencies, and not being, and even just within yourself, like what you experienced last night. Okay? Like I have been getting glimpses of it through animals and children, even today, with a child that couldn't have been a year and a half, and obviously nothing was said to me. He was on the back of his dad's shoulders, and he just kept looking at me with these big eyes, and he wouldn't let go. Right? So that's another thing, because these children are coming in. They're not tainted. And we were talking about this on the show the other day, too. They're not taking any shit. They just don't, they don't adhere to the things that we did because, you know, the things weren't done to set the framework up for us to fall into it and be, you know, and have that inducement. They don't have that. They have the intelligence not to go there. I mean, that's a factor that I haven't really factored in, even though I was told that in 2012, you guys are going to bust your ass for 10 or 12 years, and then the children are going to just come and take it over. You know, like, I think they're going to be taking care of us, leading us. And this sounds crazy, but as fast as this is moving, where do you think it would be in a year? If the technology has done what it's done in the last 20 years, and even in the last 2, and we're the real technology, we're the real network, what do you think our network's going to look like in a few months? Look what's happened even in this year. You're talking about the last 2 months or even the last 6 months. You can't tell me. I mean, I can barely remember January now. But I do remember it was fast and furious. And then I can barely remember February, but I remember it topped January. And hell, you know, a few days into March, after the end of that eclipse corridor, it's, you know, March by the 5th or 6th day was like a year.
Yeah.
And we still have half the month to go.
Yeah. We're cramming it in.
Yeah.
We're cramming it in. It's a little bit like, you know, we've all got our schoolwork to hand in, and we're just, you know, it's the 11th hour. Everybody's, you know, handing in their work, or some of us are handing in our work. I know everybody, whether they're conscious or not, what we feel's going on. You know, they're up against it. They're working and going through it. You know, we're up against our edge, and crunch time. But where will we be in 6 months' time? Maybe. I mean, you're asking about the future, how it's going to look from my perspective. Were you asking me a question?
Well, I was
sure.
just throwing a rhetorical out there because I'm just saying that given how fast it's moving, because again, like you said, okay, 2 months of the grind, but you also qualified the statement, and look, I can identify with this, and I think probably everybody else can too. What you're saying is that with each with each thing that you grind out, the gift comes. So you can feel the expansion, and it's not just, look, I know my body's changing. I'm 64 years old. I had chronic back problems till 50. They're gone. My back's popping every night like somebody's, you know, pumping air in it or something. I don't know. I can feel liquid going up and down my spine. My vision's doing weird things. I have glasses on now, but I haven't been wearing them. Like I'm like getting this signal, like, you're not going to wear these. Just take them off. You don't need them. You know, or you know, injuries. I've had some injuries in the last year, and the way they've just healed all of a sudden. Like, I don't, you know, I can't put my finger on all this. What I did want to ask you about, and what I'm interested in starting to talk to people about, you know, the object here isn't limited to what we're discussing. This is the characteristics of what's occurring real time, right? As best as we can explain it, because it's moving so fast. What are we about to do? That's where I'm at. Like, I know I'm getting called. I've known it for a while, and now I bought a ticket, and I'm going to make my way through Mexico and go back to the States. I've got no plan, but I know I'm in service, and I know there's a whole bunch of us that are. And I feel like that this is something that's about to really start to blow up. I really feel that way. And I've heard some people talk about that we'll start collaborating and co-creating after Easter. Like, it'll really start to open up. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But you know how this is. You can't hold on to anything. Information comes in, you go, okay, and then you let it go. But And now you're talking about it because you're saying that you're getting back into your artistic work, your creative work that kind of brought you to the party, you know. So I don't know. I just feel like we're about to really raise the bar in terms of co-creation, collaboration, and you know, to put it in metaphoric terms, like new Earth frequencies, new Earth creations. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a lot of people who are poised, ready to go. You know, there's been an awful lot of preparation time. There's been a lot of, I think, kind of pre-production time. I think we're into production. We're into, you know, for me being in the studio, that's just amazing. You know, I can focus on, you know, something so physical, sculptures, you know, calling me back. And that's what I was doing before my life kind of like felt like it exploded. And, you know, I experienced, you know, all the energetic and metaphysical and multidimensional stuff. But I'm bringing it back to clay, you know, having clay, mud on my hands, you know, that for me is, yeah, that's exciting. I'm just very excited what's going to be created there. But I can feel that buzz is happening for so many people as well. I mean, I feel like the curtain's about to rise on, you know, the real show, you know, the show without the middleman, really, you know, where we can actually really, you know, once we've engaged with ourselves, that's when it all happens, surely. You know, the next bit, the bit without the pain, the bit where we're not, you know, where the shields of our heart have dropped, you know, and that scar tissue that's formed away around, you know, so many of our hearts, once that's gone, it's just going to, and it's going so fast, it's going to be extraordinary. You know, for one of the things that I think about a lot, Todd, is, you know, what it's going to be like in a world where nobody can lie. We can't lie to each other anymore. I mean, I've found, you know, you know, we've all done it as, you know, throughout our lives, but I can't do that anymore. I can't try and pull the wool over somebody else's eyes, and I'm certainly not going to pull the wool over my eyes. And I think that's, for me, when I think about what's going to happen in the future, I think that's going to be the most interesting shift for humanity, is that frequency of truth that will just not allow a lie to exist. It will just fall apart. It will fall flat on its face. I mean, it's happening now as we speak. But when that starts happening in real time, you know, that we've gone past that as humanity. I can't wait for that. And I'm not saying that this is something that's coming up in the next few months, but it's beginning, you know, and that is one huge unraveling of distortion. And that's the field that I'm really excited about playing in with more people.
Yeah, it's like a natural progression. Like, and I think it is here already, because I think that's part of what's happening is people can, people can pick up on the truth frequency. Whatever it is, they can pick up on it. And so what's happened is we've had this thing where we're like, you know that somebody's bullshitting you or whatever the case is, but it's the other part. It's the flip. It's when you flip that. It's the lies that we told ourselves. I mean, have you ever had something happen years ago and you made a story up, and it was just a little, deflection, and then over the years you keep saying it, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened, or this is why, or what. I mean, we've all done it, like you said. And I remember, and I've said this before, when I was on the streets and I was getting downloaded for the couple of years, one of the big things they told me one night was they said, you do understand that everyone's going to know every single thing about you, everything. Nothing's going to be hidden. And I went into absolute fear. I thought, oh my God. And then they flipped it and said, but understand, it's going to be that way for everybody. See, I think we're, if you look at humanity right now, even the distortion, the movie script, and the deception, and the misrepresentation, and the whole thing, and you look at ourselves, it's reflecting what we've done and what we're doing. And that's what it is. We're having to look at all this other minutia, all this other stuff that's not even real, that's been put out in the field to realize what it's not, just like we realize what we're not. And it's kind of a painful thing. And it kind of goes back to what you said at the beginning of the show. This is where this is where people are going to be confronted. First, it's going to be an externalization, which is what's happened with all of us, and then it comes back to yourself, and you realize it's just me. It's just me. If you present something to me, or I present something to you, it's not about what one or the other presented. It's about what we do with it or not. Like you said, if I said something to you and you can feel it's not 100% truth, then you're not going to respond based on the old codependent patterns. You're not going to try to just please me or get out of it, or this isn't going to work anymore. These are real. Not only are they honest, sincere, childlike, and innocent, but they're formidable power, and that's what this open heart thing is to me. Like last night, and I've gone through this exercise a lot, but last night I wasn't. I don't want to sound like I was in an old loop, because I really wasn't. And if I had been, I would admit it. But I did have some thoughts like, well, I know what happened 14 years ago. Went out on the street. Yeah, but I was 50 years old. My legs were stronger. I was healthy. More muscular. I was, do I have to do the same thing now? And I had this whole conversation about the limitations of my conversation that I was having. Well, how do you know that you're not regenerating your muscles? How do you know that you won't be in the same shape you were in at 25? How do you know or not know this or that? If you carry these thoughts forward, then they're going to remain in the reality. See, I'm going for the whole thing. I don't want to leave. I want to grow younger. Everybody... I love it. Everybody always says, like, you should have seen me in high school. I was handsome, or I was beautiful. Well, everybody was. You know what I mean? We all look good when we're young and healthy. I'm in it for the long run. I'm in it for the portals. I'm in it for the regeneration. I'm not interested in fucking med beds. Excuse my French. We're the med beds. I'm not interested in building a spaceship. We're the spaceship. My Merkabah went off last night, by the way, in a way it never had before. And again, I didn't ask for it. So, that's another difference I'm seeing right now is, but I will tell you this, what I am noticing is in my communions, as my heart, like it did last night at the beach, as my heart starts to expand and I just open it up more and more, things start happening. Animals come, this happens. The right thoughts come, or whatever the case is. This is what I'm in it for. I'm not in it for any more limitations whatsoever, anything to hold me back. Because the way I see it now is the present moment to me, there is only one moment, the eternal moment. It's right now, that's it. We can't say, oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow. We don't know. And we certainly can't go backwards. But yeah, I was asking last night. I was saying, hey, give me the ball, give me the opportunity. I only get one chance to do it right the first time, and this is the first time. And we've come a long, long, long way. I don't know that we understand how long that way's been. It's way beyond Lemuria and Atlantis, etc. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of maybe millions of different civilizations, even just on the Earth. We're talking about essentially a never-ending story here, and it's reached this pinnacle, this apex that to me is not verifiable through the sacred texts and the prophecies, but it's verifiable by what's happening right now. And the intel and the information that we have shared at least for the last 12 or 15 years, where people have been, able to witness conversations like this and share this information. I'm talking about everybody's personal intel that seems to be that same trajectory. Like, how can the psyops be that big? I'm not saying that there's not technology that implants thoughts in our heads and stuff like that, but the soul overrides everything, and the heart is the portal to the soul.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing real quick. That's one of the things I was bringing up on one of these last conversations was, if you look at the UFO or ET abductees or people that have had interactions with them, there's quite a few people that will say, if you invoke the name of Jesus, that they leave. And I've heard some other things to that effect. There was another guy that came out, and he said, and he was a 20 and back guy, and he said, if you just open your heart and transmit love, they go away. Now, was he talking about quote unquote demons, ET? It doesn't matter. But who and what were they really invoking? It's really themselves, right? It's ourselves. And I don't feel like we've given ourselves enough credit for the amount of transformation that we have achieved because of the physical density that we're in and because of the doubts of the programming and conditioning. But I feel like that's starting to wear away now too. And it's raw. All this time we heard a lot of commentary and narratives and different, people, and they'd say, yeah, pretty much I'm here now. This is all you got to do. It just comes down to this. Well, like I said, humiliation and humility are one and the same. And that's just one variation, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is big. This is mind-blowing big.
I think we're finally coming to the party. It's about time we did. We've had every other version other than just us showing up. How about this is just us showing up now, isn't it? It's just that, and that's no small thing. The self is no small thing. We're gigantic, really. And we've been suppressed in our own containment field for such a long time, and we're out. I'm excited about the next bit. I don't know how it plays out, Todd. I do know that I feel better than I have actually felt ever before in my life. I was very sick as a child, I was on that. When you asked me about near-death experience earlier, I had many experiences of not knowing if I was going to make it through the night as a child. Very aware of that. Wondering if I was going to die. I was regularly hospitalized, and I think that really was a foundational part of my heart opening. Getting through that fear. Finding myself in the morning still alive for years and years. So for me, I feel like I'm the fittest that I've been, not just emotionally and not just energetically, but my physical body. I'm somebody who never did a physical education lesson at school at all, not one. Never played team sports. I was never well enough, and now I go hiking, before 6 a.m. and I run on the beach and, I swim in the ocean. This is all new for me. So my body is, tuning up for the first time in my life. It's, reaching a new place. So I'm excited to see how far I can take that. I've been convinced for a long time that, we're going to be teleporting. in this lifetime. I've felt that for so many years. And for me, that's all about love as well. It's just, how much can we love ourselves there? And how much can we love ourselves? And then I feel like we can, join so much together and actually love ourselves, to different places, actually take ourselves there. Yeah. I think that's all we're waiting for these, things that, we see as miracles now. I think all we're waiting for really is love.
Well, that's the key. That's the key. I mean, look, okay, intuition is intuition. I think that's instinctive. It's innate. It's almost part of our physical, I would say. But telepathy, I believe, is it's predicated on how open is the heart. Synchronicities, I believe, are the same way. Like, I don't know about you, but the level of synchronicities that I've had in these months that we're talking about, which we were grinding through stuff, and you know what I mean? The synchronicities, the telepathy, because part of the telepathy is knowing when you're looking at the truth, and you're hearing the truth, and you're speaking the truth. You know what I mean? So, the teleportation part of it, like that's another thing that kind of gnaws at me a little bit, and that's my problem. This if I turn on to Gaia, or what are the other ones, Coast to whatever it's called, or Coast to Coast, or any of those shows, and they have people on. Some have been on this show, and they're talking about these things like they're an aberration. Like, to remote view is some kind of unique gift, or whatever else they're talking about. Then you tune into the telepathy tapes with these children that are on the spectrum, that anyone you talk to that works with them will tell you they're full of love. Well, yeah, that's why they're all connecting out here in the ethers. And not being limited by their body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the same thing that we're coming into here. I don't think it's going to be a long time. I mean, last night, and I just remembered when I was telling you that about the Merkabah, and it wasn't a normal Merkabah. And again, I'm at the beach. I've got an upset stomach. I feel like shit. I'm feeling kind of doubting a little bit. I just bought a ticket. I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, okay, yeah, right. And I'm a little bittersweet, a few tears. Like, I love this place. It's been so special to me. It's been so incredible. And I put my arms out. I put my arms out and raise my palms, just naturally, and I was communing. And all of a sudden, like a helicopter, I saw like these things come out and start twirling, and then this kind of came out from the inside of me and went up, and another one came out. It was like a Merkabah on steroids.
Wow!
It was crazy. It was the craziest thing, and I could see the solidity of it. I could see it wasn't a hologram. It was a solid, it was a gold, like gold pieces and stuff. And look, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. If this is happening to me for 4 minutes on the beach, next time it'll be 8. And not only that, other people are going to be picking up on it too. This is all in the morphogenic field. It's all in the ethers. And this commonality that we have is no longer a hijacked consciousness or a distracted consciousness or a disillusion or so many other things. It's an opening heart. Now, the opening heart overrides everything, every single thing. Like, I'm looking at you right now. It happened to me on the previous shows. All I can feel is love. I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm going, how lucky are we? Like, this is crazy. The level of recognition and memory is bringing us, and that's really what's turning it on. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about, well, I remember when I was in Atlantis. I remember when I was in, yeah, okay. But there's something deeper here. There's something even beyond the stars here. You know, we're not just these pieces. We're the whole thing. And
The whole thing.
yeah, and we're in this form, you know. And then the last thing I wanted to say, and I meant to say this earlier when you're talking about creativity, it's been brought into my awareness that the universal family is absolutely blown away by our level of creativity, regardless of the storylines, I mean, of what we are able to create. And I believe that the pinnacle of creativity in the incarnation and the vessel that we're in is directly linked to the balance of our emotions. So when you talked about the emotion thing earlier, like almost like, well, I should be feeling bad or I should be feeling something. Well, probably not. Probably that part of it was part of the hook and the inducement to keep us anchored to the old grid. And it doesn't mean that you don't have compassion. It just means that you're more balanced. You see things for what they are, and you're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater because of something that's happened essentially on a superficial level.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we've been addicted to the highs and the lows, haven't we? And it's the, you know, what happens in the middle now when we're actually in the middle. That's what.
We are the middle.
Yeah.
We are the middle.
We are the middle.
Well, I mean, that's
We
the
are the
thing.
middle.
Yeah, you know, we think the 0 point is some thin blue line, but it's actually one end of the spectrum to the other. I mean, we're being put into. Our feet are being put to the fire. Our feet are being put to the fire. And what I mean by that is, there are no exceptions. If you don't like Trump, then you got work to do. If you don't like Biden, you got work to do. If you don't like the PM in Australia or New Zealand or whoever it is, whatever symbolic face of the universe or playmate or bad actor or whatever you want to call it, you're either going to say it's all one and the same, or Mother Goddess or Father God sometimes they make shit. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. We're from outside of this construct, if you will. We're from outside, obviously from outside this realm. But even when I look at the stars and I have my conversations with them, and I tell them, "You're not going to have power over me. I see you equally," you know. And then the education starts, but nothing has power over us because we're everything. You know, I mean, it doesn't. How do you explain that from a human comprehensive level? How do you do that? You can't. It's like, you know, the drop in the ocean and the ocean in the drop. Like, how do you get there? And then I think overall too, I think Jed said something earlier. When did you stop singing and dancing? Like that's one main thing that I can say that I try to hit every day, which is, okay, all this stuff is fine and dandy. What do you feel like eating? What do you feel like doing? What do you want to do to make you laugh? What do you want to do you want to make some music? You want to, you know, what do you want to do? Go for a walk? You want to go, you know, something. Because that's the part we don't get back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're sculpting now. You're sculpting.
Well, I'm about to. I've just, I had a vision at New Year when I tuned into the 2026 energies. I had a very, very clear vision of myself making sculpture, which is where I began. That's what I had almost a 20-year career as a sculptor. Yeah. And then when the veils shifted for me and I had a big awakening, life changed completely. And I never meant to let go of it, but my life just changed. And I haven't done it for a long time. I've been building up to doing it for a long time. But anyway, I had this vision and I thought, that can't be 2026. How could that possibly happen in 2026? You know, that'd have to be really soon. And within a few days, I had a studio space. You know, it was all set up with every possible tool I could ever need. And and the inspiration's been flowing. And I feel more excited. I feel more excited about creating than I ever have done in my life. And I'm talking as somebody who spent, my youth at art college and, 20 years as a commercial sculptor. And
Wow.
now because of the journey that I've undertaken and, the place that I found reached within myself, I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, I've already got the clay out and started, and I do a lot of two-dimensional work as well, but it's actually forming, actually using my hands as my magic wands, and forming something, out of the earth, out of the mud. I'm happier with my hands in a bag of clay than I am in any
That's
other
awesome.
place.
That's awesome. No, that's really awesome.
It's just, yeah, I've got access to I've got access to myself now. I'm a creator that put down, an artist that put down the creating years and years ago, gained the access to myself, and now I'm going back to doing that. So, it's a dream come true. It doesn't, for me, I can't think of anything I'd rather do.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be powerful, very powerful. I look forward to seeing some of those.
Yeah.
Whenever you.
Yeah. Well, I actually, I should be set up with. For next time we do an interview, maybe I'll do it from a studio.
Oh, well, good. Good. That was my next question. That was my next question. Are you going to come back?
Oh yeah. Oh, I just invited myself, didn't I?
Well, you look fantastic. You look amazing, and I really want to just say thank you for being so open and stepping up and sharing space with us. You're an amazing soul, and I love collaborating with you. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share like that, Todd. It's been beautiful. Always is.
I'll see you the
So
next
much
time.
love to you and everybody who's watching.
Yeah, you take care. All right. Well, I'm going to come back later tonight, and we're going to have a little surprise, a little music, and some other things, and be creative, like Tori.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.